Olá, tudo bem? O FIB Cidadania traz em nossos estúdios o professor Peter Kupisch, palestrante renomado no mundo, que ao longo de suas palestras e seus ensinamentos procura associar aquilo que causa frustração, medo, angústia e, para uma grande parcela, a certeza. Estou falando de Deus. E ao longo dessas palestras, dos ensinamentos, das publicações, o professor Peter tenta trazer para o mundo acadêmico algo que prova que Deus existe de uma forma racional, sem a exclusão da questão humana e racional do ser humano. Professor, é uma honra receber a sua figura, você aqui em nossos estúdios. A TV FIB fica muito honrado em ter uma pessoa com um know-how como o seu, que pode trazer para a sociedade bauruense, para os estudantes de uma forma geral, algo que para muitos é difícil.
Obrigado.
Professor, está falando português com poucos tempos, com poucos dias aqui no Brasil, isso é bacana. Professor, como é associar a figura de Deus no universo acadêmico nas universidades?
Well, even if someone is in university, they're still looking for meaning in life. So one way to talk about the relevance of God is to talk about purpose and meaning in life. And that's what I was talking about here. But really, if God exists, not just as an idea in our minds, but objectively, and especially if that's the Christian God, it can have an impact on many different disciplines. And that's what I like to study and learn about and talk about.
Sabendo que Deus existe, ainda que alguns afirmem que não existe, qual é a sua visão para aquelas pessoas que afirmam Deus não existe, mas quando necessita, procura a figura de Deus? O que poderia dizer para essas pessoas?
Well, so there's several different arguments that we can give for the existence of God. One of them is called the Kalam cosmological argument, and it's based on the idea of a beginning of the universe. And so it's saying God is the best explanation for the cause of the beginning of the universe. This is developed in a very sophisticated way by a Christian philosopher named William Lane Craig. So that's one argument. Another one from physics is that scientists have discovered that the laws of physics have certain constants in them that are very finely tuned. And this really strongly suggests that there was some God that made those constants to be that way so that life could exist in the universe. There's also another argument from morality, saying if morality is objective, that is, if it's true, independent of what we think, then that can only make sense if there's a God that exists that grounds or makes those things true. So those are a few, but one of my favorite reasons to say that God exists is actually from the problem of evil. Many people point to the problem of evil as a reason that God does not exist, but I think there's actually a very good argument to say that God does exist because evil exists.
Desta forma, para as pessoas criacionistas, Darwin, podemos afirmar que Deus possibilitou a criação do universo e que Darwin só existe por causa de Deus?
Yeah, so some people, I think what you're saying, some people say that Darwin explains where life came from, and so you don't need God, or God doesn't exist because of Darwin's theory. Is that right? Yeah, so some people will say Darwin's theory of evolution even proves that God does not exist. But that can't be true because all Darwin's theory can do is take away one argument for the existence of God. But even if you take away that argument, there's other reasons that we can give for why God exists, like what I just said before. And then if you specifically want to talk about the Bible and Darwin's theory, Christians have several different ways of addressing this issue. One of it is to talk about young earth creationism, which says the days in Genesis were actual 24-hour periods of time. And God supernaturally created human beings and different types of animals. So that's one view. Another view is that the days in Genesis were not 24-hour periods of time, but rather the whole universe is billions of years old. This is another view called old earth creationism. So it agrees that the universe is billions of years old, but still believes that God supernaturally created life forms, biology. And then there's a third view called theistic evolution, or sometimes they have a name called evolutionary creationism. And this is the idea that God created the universe, but then evolution happened by itself with no supernatural action. But God still used that process of evolution to bring about all the life forms that we have today. And it happened over billions of years. So there's different views that Christians have. And maybe, yeah, that's all I should say. I won't say my view.
Peter, qual é a relação do jovem universitário da América com a relação do jovem universitário de outra região do planeta? A ideia de Deus, a ideia de combater a figura de Deus é a mesma?
So I lived in America for a few years, but I'm from Canada, so I'm more familiar with Canada, but I have a general sense of both countries. And many students, university students in Canada and America, well, there's really a range of different views and different ways of relating to God. You have some people who are evangelical Christians, conservative Protestant Christians like myself. And so for them, their relationship with God is one where they want to live their lives loving other people, but loving God too. And loving God means living a life of worship, thanking, honoring, praising Him, recognizing that God is the source of every good thing in their lives. And they recognize also that they can only be made right with God through His forgiveness, through His grace and mercy. So they don't try to earn God's approval, but they just accept what God has done for them and then live in a relationship. But you have many other people too as well. You have some people who are atheists who don't have any relationship with God. They don't think God exists. Then you have other people who are of other religions, especially in the Toronto area where I'm from. You've got Muslims, you have Buddhists, Sikhs, Hindus. So they have very different conceptions of God and different ideas about how they should relate to God. A Muslim will believe that they should submit to Allah. They should follow Allah's will as it's revealed in the Quran and the Islamic traditions called the Hadith. So Hindus will have different ideas and different ways of relating to God. So will Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses, all these different groups. Many people, though, believe in they believe in a God that just wants them to kind of be happy in life. And I think that's not the Christian conception of God. God loves us and brings a lot of joy, but His ultimate goal is not our happiness, but His ultimate goal is for us to live for Him and worship Him, and for our lives, for our souls to be changed in such a way that we have the same righteousness or goodness or holiness that He has. But other people don't see it that way. They just feel like God doesn't matter very much in their lives, and God just wants them to be happy. The hard thing for these people is when they go through some difficult time in life, when they go through evil or suffering, they really can't understand what's going on. And they don't understand why God would allow this to happen, because their understanding of God is one where they don't really concern themselves with Him, it doesn't matter, and they think God just wants to live for them all the time. And then, of course, you have other varieties. You have spiritualism, and you have also lots of people who just don't care, too. They're not atheists, they just really don't care about God or religion.
Nós podemos afirmar, e acaba sendo comprovado, que nós temos vários caminhos, várias posturas, mas todos vão levar a uma única figura, que é Deus. Desta forma, como encarar as pessoas que são contra o cristianismo, ou que são os muçulmanos extremistas, aquelas pessoas como o Estado Islâmico que não aceita outra religião?
Yeah, there are many religions in the world, and unfortunately, these religions can fight with each other. They can have conflicts, and that's really sad. We need a world that has harmony, that has peace in it. We need to learn to coexist, to love each other, and to be tolerant of each other. But some people take that a step further, and they say, well, all the religions of the world are really the same. And people say that because they want to have peace and harmony in the world. And I'm all for peace and harmony between the different world religions. The problem is the world's religions are not all the same. If you study them, they have contradictions in their core beliefs. They are similar in their ethical teachings. Don't kill, don't steal, don't lie, honor your parents, be kind to people. They are very similar in those ways, but that's not what makes the core beliefs of the world's religions. We have different world religions because they answer certain fundamental questions differently. For example, what is ultimate reality? Does God exist or not exist? Buddhists don't believe that there is any God. Muslims, Christians, and Jews believe there's one God. But Muslims believe there's this kind of one person, or it's almost even more than that, just a very strong unity of God. Whereas Christians believe that God is three persons in one nature or essence. So that's just one area where they contradict each other. They also contradict each other in terms of what is the problem with the world and what is the solution. Every religion feels there's some problem, something not right, and they have different solutions. So it's a second area. And then a third area is what happens after you die. So Christianity says that after death, there's just judgment. There's one life. In the book of Hebrews in the Bible, it says mankind, humans are destined to die once and then to face judgment. But say Hinduism says there's many cycles of rebirth. So they both can't be true. They can all the religions of the world can be wrong, but they can't all be right.
Ok. Nós vamos para o intervalo e na volta eu quero que o professor Peter explique como é a relação entre os professores e os alunos quando envolve a figura de Deus. Voltamos já.
Quer saber o que eu estou aprontando aqui? Entre no nosso site e acesse o FIB Dicas. Eu já postei um monte de vídeos lá falando dos cursos da FIB. Eu tô te esperando no FIB Dicas, hein? Até mais!
Estamos de volta com o FIB Cidadania. Ao meu lado, o professor Peter, um canadense que roda o mundo difundindo a ideia de que Deus existe e pode estar presente com todos nós de uma forma harmônica, independente da sua área de atuação e principalmente dentro das universidades. Peter, qual é a relação entre os professores e os alunos quando fala de Deus dentro das universidades ao longo do mundo?
Yeah, well, at a secular university, where you can have professors of all different religions, different persuasions, different worldviews, the professor, I think, can feel free to share his or her opinion, especially in a class that discusses God, like philosophy of religion or theology. I really strongly believe in freedom of speech, and I think it's important for professors to be able to share their opinion, even if it's not a Christian opinion. I think atheists should have the freedom to share their thoughts. But I do have concern about professors. Sometimes they're very intolerant, and they express disagreement. They're very hostile, and they can be very insulting to Christianity, saying things that are just kind of rude about Christianity. I think there's a respectful way of disagreeing and a disrespectful way of disagreeing. And I've heard a number of accounts. I haven't experienced it myself, but I think some professors can really cross a line and say things they should not say because they're just intolerant. The interesting thing is they'll say things about Christianity that they will never say about other religions. They'll never show the same hostility towards Islam or Muslims. They'll never show the same hostility towards Sikhism or Hinduism. But somehow in Canada, and I think in the United States too, there's a double standard, and you can say things very hostile, very kind of rude about Christianity or Christians that people will never say about these other views. I also think, though, that many Christian professors are afraid of saying anything positive about Christianity. They're afraid of preaching to their students or trying to push their beliefs on students. But I think Christian professors should feel more freedom to say positive things about their belief in God and about Christianity, because it's only fair. If atheists and people who don't agree can express their criticism, Christian professors should also be willing to say their positive views of God and Christianity. But at the end of the day, it's very important, I think, for professors to be fair to students and to respect that their students are going to have a variety of different views, and allow students to express some of their disagreement in a respectful way, and make sure that the students' grades are always based on the quality of their ideas, not on whether they agree with the professor's ideas about God and religion.
Estudante e universidade dificilmente tem posturas diferentes ao longo do mundo, ao longo dos países. Pelo seu contato aqui no Brasil, qual é a sua expectativa que os jovens estudantes têm essa dificuldade em se relacionar com os professores falando de Deus? Ou é algo que, pelo fato do Brasil ser um país muito mais religioso, não tem essa realidade, esse problema?
Well, so I'm just new to Brazil, and I'm only learning, so I might be wrong in what I say here. I can only say what I can only answer the question based on my brief experience here. But from what I've heard, Brazil is obviously, I think, much more, or at least more Christian than you would have in North America or Europe. People generally are either Protestant or Catholic. And so amongst the general public, you have people who are more pious, more devout, they care more about the relationship with God. But I've heard that in the universities, you tend to have professors who are more hostile or antagonistic towards Christianity. And I'm sure it varies from one subject to another, from one professor to another, and certainly from university to university. I've heard that there's a Presbyterian university here called Mackenzie University. And I've heard it's more conservative Christian, so I don't think you're going to have a lot of hostile professors there. But at other universities, you certainly could have that. And I think the reason for that is because it's probably the same reason for why it happens in North America or maybe Europe. If somebody doesn't like Christianity or maybe doesn't like religion, well, let me back up and answer your question a little differently. If somebody's a Christian and they want to spread their ideas, a lot of times they'll become a missionary or they'll become a pastor or something like that because they want to share the Christian message. And you don't usually think of becoming a university professor. But if someone doesn't like Christianity or disagrees with it, or maybe doesn't like religion in general, maybe doesn't like the idea of God, it doesn't make sense to become like an atheist pastor. That doesn't exist, right? Or an atheist missionary. That doesn't exist. So instead, I think sometimes they decide to become a university professor because that gives them an opportunity to spread their ideas. So I think that's part of the reason why you tend to have university professors that can be more hostile to the existence of God or to Christianity. But I would love to see that change. I would love to see more Christians get their PhDs and be in university environments and provide some balance and be able to express a Christian viewpoint in an intelligent way, but in a respectful way, where they're not trying to push their ideas and force other people to believe them, but they're just taking the opportunity to express their viewpoints as well.
Bom, nós estamos falando da questão de até uma oportunidade da pessoa se expressar. Qual é o seu conselho para o jovem, para o universitário, que quer expressar a sua fé, quer demonstrar que tem um carinho por Deus, e ele é barrado ou ele é censurado?
Well, I encourage university students, all university students of all religious faiths, to express their ideas. I especially want to see Christians share their ideas because I'm convinced Christianity is true. So I want to see more people believe what's true. And so a lot of Christian students, though, they feel it's difficult for them to express their ideas. And some of that is, I think, there's not enough Christian apologists like myself that can help them to be able to think intelligently about their own faith and about other people's worldviews and other religions. So a lot of Christians are good at talking with other Christians, but they're not good at talking to non-Christians. So I think part of the problem, or part of the censorship, is self-censorship. Just Christians are not expressing themselves, and they haven't had sometimes good training or guidance in how to express themselves. But there are situations where, say, a professor might not allow them to speak in class. Students need to recognize the professor is the leader in the class. They need to respect the authority of the professor. But they can raise their hand if say the professor is maybe attacking Christianity or being rude, then I think it's fair for the student to politely ask the professor to express their views in a more respectful way. And if the professor refuses to do that, they could go and, I think, express their displeasure. As if a Muslim or Sikh student was being treated unfairly or rudely, they could go and tell that professor's boss or talk to the dean. If they're raising their hands and are never allowed to express, ask a question or give an answer, then that's also something they should talk to other people about. But I don't think Christian students in the class, if they feel the professor is attacking Christianity, I don't advise Christian students to try to prove the professor's wrong. Because the professor, he or she, is in control of the class, and he or she is almost always going to win any kind of debate between the student and the professor. And this professor can always get the last word. And usually the professor knows more things. But I think it's fair for Christian students or anyone, when the professor says, God doesn't exist or the Bible's not true, I know from studying these issues for 20 years, a lot of times professors don't know nearly as much as they might appear to know. They know a lot about their area of specialization. So they're going to be experts in that field. If it's a philosophy professor, they're going to know, and they're teaching philosophy of religion, they'll know a lot about that. But sometimes professors express opinions about Christianity or other things that's not their area of expertise, and they actually really don't know very much about what they're saying. They might know just as much as the student. So I think it's good for a student just to politely raise their hand and ask the professor, what do they mean by what they're saying, and also why do they think that way? How did they come to that conclusion? And a lot of times the professor doesn't really have good reasons for what they're believing. And sometimes the professor is hard to understand, and that's because the professor is a little confused and they're not very clear in what they're saying. So I think it's fine for a student to kind of ask those questions, and I encourage Christian students to do that in a classroom.
Professor Peter estará em Bauru e mais algumas cidades. Quais outras cidades o professor estará palestrando além de Bauru?
In Brazil, I've been to a few main cities. Well, mainly Sao Paulo. I arrived there, saw it a little bit, and I'll be leaving there. Spent a lot of time here in the beautiful city of Bauru. Spent a few days in Londrina. That was very nice. And I went to another university another city, I don't remember the name, but Univalle was, this is the city that Univalle is in. And I spoke there.
Univale é em Avaré.
Sounds right. And Avaré, I've been to Avaré, yeah. There's a lake near Avaré that was really beautiful. We went to a very nice restaurant there. I put on Facebook that I wrote there that I found paradise down here in Brazil, and it's at that lake near Avaré.
Infelizmente, o nosso tempo chegou ao fim, mas eu quero que você deixe uma mensagem para aqueles que nos acompanharam e que sempre acompanham o canal universitário, principalmente a TV FIB.
Well, I want to say that I'm very glad to be here. And I've really enjoyed speaking here at Phoebe. Some of the friends I have are involved in the administration and leadership here, and I appreciate their giving me the opportunity to be able to come and speak here. It's an exciting campus, looks like it's growing. I noticed you have some cows off to the side, and I was excited to see them. And I heard peacocks when I came in here tonight. I think they were peacocks. I don't normally see that at universities in Canada, so it was exciting to see that. And I love all the palm trees too, because it's a beautiful campus. We don't have palm trees in Canada because it's too cold. So it's a wonderful place. I hope if you are a Christian student or not a Christian student, if you've never investigated the evidence for Christianity, I hope you might do that, because I think there's a lot of really good evidence that establishes that Christianity is true. And if it's true, that it really matters that we believe it. It matters that we have this relationship with God. It matters that we are living for God, but we also come into that relationship with God by recognizing our need for forgiveness that's made possible through Jesus' death and resurrection. And we say to God, forgive me of my sins, and I now want to live for you. And then we express our love for God by finding out what his will is for our life, reading the Bible, knowing what it says, and then changing our lives to conform to his will and to his way. I think that's the most important thing in life, because if Christianity really is true, then it is the most important thing in life.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Although, let me say one thing. I was a professor before, but I'm not technically a professor right now. But it's very nice of you to say that.
E para você que é sinônimo de prestígio, inteligência e atualização, continue com a gente, mandando críticas, sugestões para a TV FIB, @fibbauru.br. Até a próxima.